Escape Room Tournament of Champions is the brand new film coming exclusively to theaters on July 16th and stars Taylor Russell, Logan Miller, Thomas Cockrell, Holland Roden, India Moore, and Carlito Olivero, and is the direct sequel to the 2019 film called Just Escape Room, and brings back the two survivors from that film, Zoe and Ben, played by Taylor Russell and Logan Miller. And they are trying to investigate the Mino crime syndicate, I guess, the people who created the first movie, the first escape room in the first movie. But as they're trying to do, they are stuck with 4 other members who are all survivors of one of their own escape rooms. Now to figure out a way in an escape room tournament of champions. The film is 1 hour and 28 minutes and is PG-13. My name is Max Dingro. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here on Max Talk Movies. Today we're talking about Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Please leave a like, guys. If you are here, guys, that's the best way to support this channel. Also, please comment down below your thoughts on this film. First of all, if you've already seen Escape Room 2, tell me, is it better than the first one? Is it worse than the first one? If you have not seen this film yet, tell me, will you check this out this weekend, only in theaters? Have you seen the first one already? Let me know all your non-spoiler thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, if you're new to the channel, I do movie reviews like these, TV show reviews, movie breakdown, box office breakdowns, and movie rankings. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and ringing that bell for notifications. Let's do my non-spoiler review of this film. So I was definitely not going in excited to this film. The first film is a very forgettable horror thriller that came out in January of 2019, but because the budget was $9 million for the first one, and it made $150 million, which isn't a lot, but it's a lot when you have a $9 million budget. They had plenty of money to make a sequel, and the first one obviously ends setting up a possible sequel. Not this movie, but a possible sequel with our 2 characters who survived the last escape room coming back. And it was just a little nerve-wracking going into this film. Now, this film was heavily promoted, not really on advertisements, but whenever I've been seeing a movie in theaters for the last month, I always got this trailer. So I thought, man, are people actually gonna check this one out? Did people even care about the first one? For me, I just did not like the first movie, not that much. I thought the escape rooms themselves were kind of fun, but you just didn't care about the characters, and character decisions happen and deaths happen that you just don't care about. And let's start talking about this movie, Escape Room Tournament of Champions. I really do love the idea of an escape room horror franchise. Not talking about these movies respectfully, but the actual idea on paper is really brilliant when you start building out these films and how intense these type of situations can be. So yeah, let's go to my positives first. I'll talk about negatives, and I'll give you my score, and I'll let you know my other reviews coming down in the pipeline. So first, my positive with the film, and just like the first film, easily the best part of the film is easily the escape rooms themselves, the settings on where these escape rooms take place. Now, I don't think any of these top the 3rd escape room that was used in the first film, where everything kind of looks like it's on the ceiling or the floor, that room from the first one. Also, but actually, before I get into my positives also, if you have not seen the first film, you really don't have to see the first one before you see this one. Now, I know there are returning characters that are coming on screen in this film, but really the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie is kind of a recap. Even the first 5 minutes is really just a highlight reel of the first film. And then we have characters just talking about the first film for the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. So if you're nervous, like, do I have to watch the first one before this one? You really don't, because the movie, I guess, understands that not many people, I guess, checked out the first one. So they use a last time here on the escape room type of thing, where they give you a highlight reel of the first movie, and then you get also a lot of other scenes from the first movie are back in this movie. So you do not have to see the first one before you check one out. They will educate you very well on what happened in the first movie. So my positives are, as I said, the escape rooms themselves. There are very fun ideas. The opening one on the train is actually very clever, and easily for me was the best room of the entire movie, was the opening one in the train. You've seen it in the trailer, but when you see it in the movie, you can see why it's a bit intense. And it actually feels relatable how people actually could figure it out in this amount of time. So all that stuff was cool. The idea also having all these characters who have survived in particular, because again, in these escape rooms, only one person is the survivor. So the fact that they're doing basically a tournament of champions, having all of these former winners of these escape rooms working together, trying to gain their way out of it, is a clever idea. And the first time you get introduced to that concept in the movie, it actually kind of feels fresh and different from the first one. The only time really you kind of feel like that. And the idea of all these characters actually know how to get out of these situations because they've already won an escape room before does help make the movie make a bit more sense than it actually does. And I think that our main character here, Zoe, played by Taylor Russell, is doing her best. She clearly is now the full main character of the film, and she easily is the strongest performance and character of the entire film. I did enjoy seeing this Taylor Russell on screen. I thought she was quite good in the movie. She wasn't anything special, but she was solid enough for what the movie was written for her character. And she really is the only character with a real arc in the entire film. So you're kind of, I guess, rooting for her the most to get out of this situation. And again, there's a couple clever rooms throughout the film. Also, the film's an hour 28. So the film really, as I said, once the first 10 to 15 minutes happens, where they basically tell you what happened in the first film, you're jumped instantly into the escape room. And really, out of an hour 28 runtime, I would say maybe an hour 10, an hour and 5 minutes of the movie is all during the escape room itself. So that's another huge plus that I had with the movies, because it just went right into the action. I'll get to why that could be a negative as well in a bit, but it felt actually nice that we knew the characters from the first film. If you like them or not, you know who they are. Let's jump them right into this situation again. And I thought that was a smart move to do with the movie. But let's get to my negatives, guys. The biggest issue I have with this movie is that it really does feel like a copy and paste from the first movie, except this time they all have survived an escape room before. They're not all surprised about what's going on. They kind of know what's going on. Other than that, it's a copy and paste movie from the first one, where you know the characters are going to die, you know which characters are going to survive. You don't care about any of the characters. They have no personality or character to them at all. Character dies left and right without any character caring. And it sets up another sequel. And now the first one kind of leaves you with the answers of who really is running this. And this film just doesn't give you any answers, just like the first one. It feels like it's just setting up other movies, because this film was also made for $15 million. So it's not going to take a lot for this film to make back its money. So when you look at that, it just feels like a very corporate franchise. Another horror franchise, I guess, that's run on the cheap, that we're just setting up other movies just so we can make more of them to make more money. That's what these films clearly feel like, because again, I really didn't care about any of these characters in the movie, and that includes our two characters from the previous film. You just don't care about anyone in the movie. They're just, and as I said, they're very much thrown into action, and you kind of get bits and pieces on who these other people are, but it's very brief. And you're just trying to move on to the thrills. And the problem is you can't be thrilled about what's going on because you don't care about the characters. You don't care if characters die or don't die or get out of the situation, because there's not really characters. They're just people put in these situations. I was thinking to myself, wouldn't this concept is so amazing. If you actually had a lot of character development into these people, it would feel really intense about how these people can get out of this situation or not. But because it's an hour 28, so just want to throw you in the escape rooms for an hour and a half and not care about character. You're supposed to just root for these people because they're just people. That isn't a good excuse for me to care about these characters. And you just don't care about characters. Characters die and then they're never talked about for the rest of the movie. And there's connections made. And you just also, the two main characters, you kind of feel that they have a connection from the first film. It just isn't that emotional. And there was a lot of unintentional laughter in my theater. And it was a pretty packed theater for this movie. It was a Thursday showing of it. There was a lot of unintentional laughter for a lot of pretty serious moments in the movie. And I was even chuckling. There's some really cheesy dialogue. And you also saw the scene in the trailer. And it's like it in the movie where they're all stuck on the train. And then one person says, "What is this, a tournament of champions?" I mean, this movie has some cheesy dialogue. And because it's PG-13, there's no extreme violent deaths. Deaths happen in very unviolent ways in this movie. And this movie, in my opinion, just needed to be R. If it was going to be this underwritten for the characters, at least have some fun gore to it. where you have some fun violence and gore where it makes the movie pop a little bit more, but it's so PG-13 that you don't really feel the deaths that much because they're not as violent. And you don't care about the characters. If you care about the characters, you wouldn't need violent deaths, but now you don't care about the characters. You kind of want to see these characters die in the biggest, most violent way possible, which is not in this movie. As I said, you still don't get answers in this movie. It continues. It's just like the first movie where I think the movie ends on a satisfying note and then it wants to be like a huge big twist thing and wants to set up another movie. And you're like, well, why am I watching these two movies if they're not going to give me literally any answers? The movie isn't scary. It isn't thrilling because you don't care about these characters. And you don't also, at points, this movie is so ridiculous on how these characters can figure out these problems in seconds. I mean, seconds. There's some challenges in like 90 seconds or 30 seconds that they have to figure out. And no person could figure out this problem in 30 seconds. But because it's so convenient on how our characters get their way out of escape rooms, and it just pulls you out because the rooms themselves are pretty clever, but because they need to get the movie moving a little bit, they rush the timing of everything. So our characters just find stuff so easily and so conveniently. So I know a lot of people felt like the first one was average and are going to think this one. If you like the first one, you're going to like this movie. If you didn't like this one, you're not going to like this movie. For me, it's just a copy and paste. It feels like the exact same movie. And it's a big disappointment. Not disappointment because it's just the same movie. So overall, guys, I'm going to give Escape Room Tournament of Champions a 1.5 out of 5, guys, a 32%. I really did not like this movie. It was a pretty boring, an hour 28. The rooms themselves are a bit entertaining. It really are just never bored, but you just don't care about anything that's happening. And because the movie isn't giving you answers, how are you supposed to get excited for future installments? And if they are future installments, hopefully they write a more creative script. So that's my thoughts on the sequel to Escape Room Tournament of Champions. If you've seen the movie already, tell me, do you agree with me or disagree with me in the comment section down below? Like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell. More reviews coming down the line, guys. Tomorrow, Friday, on the 16th, reviews for Bad Batch, spoiler review, possibly a Space Jam review tomorrow. Definitely on Saturday or Sunday for that as well. And Saturday will be my Fear Street Part 3 review. So, and Monday will be my box office breakdown. So we'll see how many people do come and check out this sequel. Doesn't make enough money to warrant a third movie. The writers clearly want another movie. We'll see if the audiences give it to them. So that's my thoughts on this movie. Thank you much for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you guys very, very soon. If you want to see any more of my other movie reviews, click that playlist right next to my head.